We're joined by Youssef Al-Hello, who is a journalist and political analyst from Gaza, now based in London, and Yaakov Katz, the former editor-in-chief of the Jerusalem Post, whose books include Israel versus Iran, The Shadow War, and The Weapon Wizards, How Israel became a high-tech military superpower. Youssef, Yaakov, good to have you both with us. Welcome. Making the case for the defense of Israel, if you like. This is how one side of this argument interprets the actions of the Israeli government defending its people who have been expelled through rocket attacks from their homes in the north of the country. Youssef, over to you. Make the case as you see it.
Thank you. We need to look into the context to this discussion. The question is why Hizbullah was founded. Also, why Hamas was founded. They were axis of resistance supported by Iran, and they came into existence as a result of Israel's military occupation to southern Lebanon and to the occupied Palestinian territories. Now, I understand that Netanyahu is desperate in order to widen this conflict. He is interested to stay in power. And the only way that he can remain in power is to drag the feet of the American administration into the region and start a large-scale invasion of Lebanon and continue the genocide in Gaza. And of course, he wants to pressure Hezbollah to disengage and to stop supporting the Palestinian resistance. But we can see that the attitude of Israel is based on provocation all the time, justifications all the time, and Israel is the one who can put an end to this war by stopping an end to the genocide. Because Hezbollah said that they are willing to stop their military attacks against Israel once Israel stops its genocide in Gaza.
And what do you believe to be Benjamin Netanyahu's personal motivations for taking his country militarily in this direction, Youssef?
He said on a number of occasions that he wants the Israeli citizens who were forced to flee across the country to go back to their towns and villages and cities in the north. And the only way to do that by crushing the capabilities of Hezbollah, and he started by the explosive devices in the pagers, telecommunication devices, and the sudden attack against military targets. So he is using disproportionate force. He is flexing the muscle of Israel's military capabilities. He wants to show to the Israeli society that he is the leader who's going to save the Jewish state, and he wants to send a message to the other neighboring countries that this will be your fate if you dare to criticize or even attack Israel. At the end of the day, Israel is being supported by the West, especially the United States, and it enjoys impunity. And we see the casualties, the civilians, the children who are being killed, slaughtered under the pretext of self-defense.
Thank you for that, Youssef. So, Yaakov, again, our audience is as divided as you two are on this. I've got people texting in, making arguments on both sides of this disagreement about how we interpret what is happening here. But on one side, and please respond to this, Yaakov, we have those saying that there is a fragile coalition in Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu has to hold this together. He needs to placate some right-wing and indeed far-right figures within his own coalition. There are others who are saying he is personally vulnerable if the war ends, if he does a ceasefire. He's vulnerable to legal prosecution, not just in the international courts, but also around issues he's been dealing with for some time in Israel. It is in his best interest personally to keep war going on for as long as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't accept that presumption and notion, and I'll just explain to you why. Because the war continuing, on the one hand, I could understand to some extent the argument that yes, continuing a war prevents any post-war investigation and calls for him to step down, although we see those every day. I saw 2 protests alone today, one in Tel Aviv and one in Jerusalem, against him. So this is all happening as we speak. But there's a very simple equation here, which unfortunately the other speaker is refusing to accept. That is, Hamas in Gaza, return the 101 Israelis and foreigners who were taken hostage on October 7th. The war can come to an end. Hizbullah, stop attacking Israel. Now that war can come to an end. So we can keep on talking and analyzing Netanyahu's political interest and the members of his coalition and whether it will stay together after the war, it won't stay together after the war. But the question is much simpler. Why are Hamas still holding on to Israeli people who were stolen from their homes and their beds in their pajamas almost exactly a year ago and have yet to be returned, including babies and children and women and Holocaust survivors? Why are they still being held in the Gaza Strip against their will? And why is Hizbullah attacking and trying to kill Israelis? Those are the questions that we should be asking. And when we get to the answer of that question, and we understand that they want to eliminate the Jewish people and the state of Israel, we can understand that what Israel is doing is something that is called, it's a very simple notion. Every country in the world abides and holds by it. It's called self-defense. When you are attacked by a terrorist enemy on your borders, you have the responsibility, the obligation, and definitely the legal right and justification to defend yourself. That is what Israel has been doing for 11 months, and that is what Israel is doing right now. So no context is needed about so-called occupations of Palestinian people that date back 70 years. Stop attacking now, and the war will be over now.
Yusuf, is it as simple as that? Release the hostages, stop the rocket attacks, and peace will arrive.
Nothing justifies a genocide in Gaza. Israel has been committing this genocide for the past 353
Again, but there's
days
no
in a row.
answer to the question. Answer the question, Yusuf.
Tell me something. Why Israel failed to defend itself on the 7th of October? Where were you for 5 hours?
Okay, can I just break in? I don't want to break in too much because I want to hear both of you arguing. But the argument is, Yusuf, and let's get an answer from you on this, is even if it is a genocide as you've described it, and many will agree with you, even if it is, the way to stop what is happening is for Hamas to release the hostages and for Hezbollah to stop the rocket attacks on innocent homes in the north of Israel. And so if you do those two things, you get an end to the war. Is it as simple as that?
Well, I don't represent any political party here. Of course, we would like to see the release
your
of
analysis. Sorry, I mean just your analysis.
We would like to see the release of Palestinian children, women who are being held without a trial in Israeli prisons. Can your guest agree that those hostages must be released as well? Why do you think that Israeli blood is more valuable than the Palestinian blood?
They were shot and murdered.
Why do you think your civilians are more valuable than the Palestinian civilians?
I need to break in, but Yusuf.
Yes.
Okay. So, as I said, the Palestinian people of Gaza were not consulted when Hamas carried out that attack. Of course, it's a crime to kill civilians from the Israeli side, but also Israel has no right to kill civilians and children until this day. And the Israeli military, admitted that they used the Hannibal directive to kill the hostages along with the captors. Israel has killed more civilians, more hostages than Hamas has killed. Israel is not interested to release the hostages because they want to prolong this genocide and ethnically cleanse the population of Gaza.